Happy New Year!
And welcome to our first Financial Freedom Classroom webinar. Sherry and I are here to help you become financially free through the experience and knowledge that we've gained through the years. We're planning on doing these half-an-hour webinars every Thursday at 7:30 p.m. to discuss topics such as money management, debt-free living, and multiple income streams through real estate investing, the stock market, business management, and career development.
And tonight we're going to discuss what kinds of information to review to help you start the year off right, a New Year's financial checklist. But before we dive into that, we need to go over some housekeeping and tell you a little bit about who we are and why we're here. First of all, on your GoToWebinar desktop, any questions or comments that you might have, if you would please type them into the question box, and we will do our best to answer them within the time that we have. Also, recordings of this webinar will be available both on our YouTube channel and on our blog at www.financialfreedomclassroom.com.
All right, and just please be aware that the advice provided in this presentation is general advice only. It's been prepared without taking into account your objectives, financial situation, or needs. We are not licensed financial advisors. We're not accountants, lawyers, or tax preparers. Therefore, the information in the presentation is no substitute for legal, financial, professional legal, financial, accounting, or tax advice. If you have any questions in that area, please, or want to implement any of the strategies or whatever that we talk to you about here, please verify everything with a professional in that area of expertise.
So who are we? So I'm going to introduce my husband, John Locke. He is an international trading performance coach. He's co-owner of Lock in Your Success, LLC. He's author of The Bearish Butterfly, M3, Rock, M21 Stock Index Option Trading Programs. He's also a professional trader with SMB Capital. He's currently developing the Advanced Position Management Program for options, which will be released, we're targeting March of 2015 in New York City, so there'll be a live classroom teaching there, and also eventually will come out on
the Trading Triangle.
Yep, and then the Trading Triangle will be coming out, but we'll be updating you guys on that as we go along, as we get later in the year.
And this is my beautiful wife, Sherry. She's co-owner with me in Lock in Your Success, LLC. You don't hear about her a whole lot. She's a fantastic success coach and life coach. She's business owner currently. She's owned a lot of past businesses with me. She is a real estate investor and prior held a seat in the New Hampshire Real Estate Investors Association board member. And she's currently developing amazing content for this Financial Freedom Classroom for you guys to go over. And together, we are the Financial Freedom Classroom. And I'd just like to tell you a little bit about ourselves and some background that we have. We built our first home when we were in our early 20s up here in New Hampshire. We've been married for about 25 years, and we raised two awesome girls. We even homeschooled them, and if anybody here or listening has done homeschooling, you'll know that it takes a large commitment and an enormous amount of time, and it's quite a financial sacrifice.
It really is. When we had our girls, before we had our girls, I was working full-time, and after I had Shayla, our oldest, it came to the realization that I could not do that. I had systematized the work that I was doing and was able to do it very part-time at home, and they allowed me to do so. So it was a really great compromise. At the same time, John had to work part-time to cover when I was working. So it's definitely been a labor of love for sure, and we wouldn't have had it any other way, but it was a financial strain during that time.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, at the time, before we had the kids, I had two successful businesses. I had an automotive repair business. I had a martial arts school. I was working, if you can imagine running two businesses, I was working a lot of hours. The auto shop in itself is a full-time business, and I just wasn't home. So when we started, had the kids, and certainly when we were thinking about homeschooling, we definitely had to do something there. So I ended up selling off the automotive business and the in the martial arts school, and I went searching for something to do at home. I ended up buying a home inspection franchise, and that was still a full-time business, but at least it was allowing me to work my hours around, Sherry's schedule, so that we can get the kids homeschooled and do what we needed to do with that.
Right. So
Right.
it was a great time, though.
It was. It was a great time, and I wouldn't trade it for any amount of money. But at some point you do need to make money. So.
All right. So we became real estate investors too.
Yeah. We started investing in real estate. We had some experience in building our home together, and we built a spec home, and we did some rehabs and bought some rentals, and started investing in real estate.
Yeah. And we also enjoy working with small businesses, so we've provided loans and some guidance to those as well.
That was a little bit later after we started getting a little bit of money back. We started giving some loans to small businesses and stuff, help them along and guidance. So that's a little bit about our background. And one of the things we like to talk about is what is financial freedom.
So we think that financial freedom really is different for each person. It's really not how much you have in the bank, or it's not what you can buy. Really, it's different for each person. So I think, we think that each person really needs to define that for themselves.
Right, but essentially I think we're talking about, being able to essentially pay for all your needs and most of your wants without having to work through investments or some sort of passive stream of income.
Right. And so when we recognize it is certainly when our investments were paying for our financials, we're paying for our family's needs. So it was an awesome feeling.
Yeah, right. At some point, the money starts adding up, and you see the investments coming in, and you say, hey, I don't really need this paycheck anymore. Mm-hmm. And that is quite.
That's really when you like your job.
Yeah, it's quite a liberating experience for sure. And after you stop worrying about paying your income having to pay for all your expenses, and you start actually focusing on other things like your family and vacations and maybe some cars and some other stuff like that. So it's when you really start to dream.
Right. And then we really like to help others, so we get to focus more on that, and hence that's why we're here.
Right. I mean, Lock and Set Your Success in general, our other company was developed around trying to help people. First, it was business owners who, and quite frankly, it was the owners who bought my business and were struggling, because they bought a really good business, and then they, what happens is they don't understand how to manage a business, right? And it starts falling apart. So they need some help getting things back in line. So we really like that, and we really like help life coaching people and stuff like that.
Right.
And of course, when I became really good at trading, Locking Your Success kind of turned into a trading business, which is great, except I do miss dealing with, the general public and, the people that really need help in getting financial free.
So we like to dream big and then help people get on that path to start dreaming.
Right, and we'd like to be part of that path. So here's a little bit about our approach.
So we believe, again, we believe that you need to reduce and eliminate debt quickly.
Right, that's the first
thing. If you have it. If you don't, congratulations.
Yeah, congratulations. Because really, before you can go anywhere, before you can invest, before you can feel comfortable, with the money you make, you have to get out of debt.
You got to quit paying interest.
Yeah. There's a big difference paying out 20% interest on a credit card and maybe making 20% interest in a stock market or in real estate investments.
Right. You want to go the right way.
Yeah, you definitely want to go in the right way there. And then, of course, once you.
So, and then also you'd want to establish and maintain an emergency fund.
Right, and Kevin, our friend Kevin here is just asking a question. Does this include long-term debt? And I would say it includes any debt that's on a depreciating asset, right? So anything like you might buy with a credit card, anything, cars, things like that. If you have debt on something like real estate that's appreciating and for the most part is paying for itself, it would be you have to kind of weigh your income from the real estate versus the debt. Student loans. Yes, you got to get out of student loans.
Get rid of those.
Yeah, definitely. That would be one of the first things to get rid of. And that's one of the big things now, especially with the kids coming out of college. Boy, the student loan debt is unbearable now.
Yeah, I mean, I was just reading an article from Mark Cuban was stating about what's going to happen with that and how that's going to kind of collapse. Yeah, I mean, I agree, Michael, certainly. If you can't pay cash, don't buy it. I agree with that.
Great comment there. Great comment
Very
there.
good. It's definitely true. I agree with that wholeheartedly. But student loans, I think it's going to be a real serious problem for the kids coming out. It's hard to get jobs. It's just not good.
Yeah, they're piling on $100,000+ of debt and taking $30,000 or $40,000 a year jobs. I mean, the numbers don't work. So, yeah. So anyway, from like I said, tonight is just kind of an overview of what's going on. But yeah, you definitely want to do that. You want to establish and maintain an emergency fund, and you want to do all of this before you actually invest in anything, right? Before you're building your retirement account, before you're investing in, certainly before you're investing in the stock market, right? You want to get your debts definitely paid off as quickly as possible and establish an emergency account, which we recommend 6 months of expenses. And then from there you can go in and ensure your retirement savings. Then you start piling your money into retirement and make sure, well, of course, you always make sure you have proper insurance coverage. Yeah, you want to make sure you have that. And from there you can start creating your investment portfolio to actually start building your financial dreams.
Right.
And of course, when you dream big.
Absolutely.
For sure. All right.
So, oh, wait, we got one more thing. Let's see, for mortgage debt at the very low rate, why rushing to pay it off? Why not use the fund for more lucrative investment?
Well, this is the way we look at that. When we talk about mortgage debt, first of all, we want to get anything paid off that's a depreciating asset, a credit card, or high interest. We do have some very low mortgage interest rates. As long as you are have a reasonable amount of equity in the home, then that's fine.
I mean, if you think about it, if you have, I can understand it, but it's an appreciating asset. So, I mean, I can see it, but at the same time, you still got to pay it.
Yeah, I would invest. In other words, if I had a home loan, I would probably invest and start doing stocks and real estate before you paid off your home. I mean, I think that is fine. I wouldn't borrow on a home to invest in stocks. Right. So, if you're doing well financially, you're pretty much debt free except for your house.
Right.
And I think, like I said, that's an appreciating asset. It's not a depreciating asset. I'm okay with loans on that. I do think you should strive to pay them off.
Right.
I mean, we've paid ours off. And yes, I could take $300,000 out of the bank and put it in the stock market and probably make a pretty darn good return with it. However, no matter what happens, my home is my home, and I'm here. So there's something to be said for that, and I certainly would never leverage that out for that.
Right.
Right. Leverage something else, not your home.
Right.
All right. So
to start with the checklist, just jumping in here, one of the things to do early in the year, obviously, if you can, is to organize. So to know where all your important documents are, list your accounts, where they're located, list your advisors and the names and their contact information. I know this is probably all stuff you guys know or do, but we get busy and we forget to do this stuff. Mark important dates on your calendar. Some of the dates I'm thinking of are like when quarterly payments are due, so you're not late on, if you do deposits for your taxes. And another thing was to review your credit report, because you don't want to find out when you need to have a credit check run that there's a problem. So if you can fix it in advance of that.
Well, you don't want somebody running stuff up on your credit cards that are falsely taken out in your name or whatever, and not even know about it for 2 years. So you definitely want to do that. And organization is very, very important. It's important for a lot of reasons, and some of them you don't really even think about. Like, if you're not organized and you don't have your documents, and something happens to you, and you have kids, or your wife has to take over for you and deal with all of this stuff, she's got, or your husband, they have no reference. I mean, it's kind of like leaving them in abandoned. You might have $16 million in the bank, but if they don't know where it is or how to access it, it doesn't do their family a whole lot of good. Or if it's in, I know some of you guys trade options. I mean, if you have, $100,000 in a position and that's a good part of your net worth, and your wife doesn't know what to do with it or trade out or even know you're in it, then, or your husband, that money can go away fairly quickly if the wrong thing happens. And we all know the wrong things happen when you're not paying attention. So it's very, very important.
That's true. So trying to see what we got next here. Net worth. So that is to calculate your net worth annually. So list all your assets and your liabilities and then analyze the results of those. And then really kind of take a look at it and see what should you be doing more of or what you should be doing less of.
Right. The funny thing is, in order to get anywhere, you need to know two things, right? You need to know where you are and where you want to go. So the first thing you want to do to start your path on financial freedom is to clearly know where you are. And of course, the next thing is you want to make sure you have your goals. But these things like this, they make perfect sense. And you all want to determine your net worth. And it's really funny that I talk to a lot of people. I do coaching in the stock market, and we do general success coaching and stuff. And you'd be surprised at the people who have no idea what they're worth. It's really kind of crazy. And it's been to the point where I've actually talked to some people, and they're complaining about this and that, and they don't have enough money for this or whatever. And we actually define what they need to live financially free, and we take a look at the net worth, and they're actually already there. They're not happy with themselves, and they're living a life of misery, but they're already there. All they need to do is reorganize stuff. So having that net worth level and understanding what it is, and also understanding what you need, is very, very important.
Yeah.
Going forward.
Net worth is important to know for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And so, of course, establishing goals. What would you like to accomplish this year? And certainly going out, what do you want to accomplish in 5 and then again in 10 years? So, and one of the most important things is to be sure to collaborate with your spouse, if you have one, and gain their full support, because if you don't, it could thwart your efforts.
Right. And goals is one of those things, too, that I get questions on a lot. They go, oh, no, he's going to talk about goals again. But, I do talk about them a lot because they're just so important. One of the things about people is that they have this amazing amount of resources, but they have a very limited focus. It's kind of like if you look at the Internet, right? You can find virtually anything on the Internet. But in order to find it, you need to know what you're looking for, and you need to type it into a search engine. Otherwise, you'll never come up with the information. And one of the things that most people don't realize about themselves is that we're all these goal-seeking organisms. In other words, we're always going after goals. And we already have goals. Unfortunately, for most people, the goals they have are lousy, and they were put there by outside sources. So therefore, when they're put there like that, what you're typing into the search engine in your life is basically crap. And when you type crap into your search engine, that's all you can see. You can't see, ways out of problems, and there may be wealth dropping all around you, and you're just going to completely ignore it. So what you really need to do is really need to purposely set your goals so you know what you want, and you can type that into your search engine, and you can bring up all the things that are going to bring you the wealth that you're looking for. So extremely, extremely important goals.
Yes, they are. That's part of the reason why I put it on our slides tonight, so that it's important for us to keep focused on those.
It certainly is.
And then spending plan.
A budget?
No, we don't like the word budget. It sounds too restrictive. I like to spend, so I'm calling it the spending plan. So it's really, when you look at your spending plan, you need to use the net worth that you've calculated and your goals and as your guide to kind of create or revise if you have one.
And your income.
Yes, well, that's part of it too. Here we go. Itemize and total all of your income.
Fantastic.
And then itemize and total all your expenses. And part of your calculation in your expenses should certainly be savings. I know it kind of sounds like an oxymoron, but it's definitely something that you need to put in that plan so you make sure that you save. And then you're going to analyze the results of that. And then one of the things that we've discovered is paying stuff automatically, and that makes life a whole lot easier.
It definitely does, instead of paying like 42 bills and kind of
Sitting down to bill night, and that's nobody ever enjoys sitting down to bill night.
Yeah,
so
especially when you have real estate and you have to pay bills for like 4 properties
that's
or something.
right.
Yeah.
So it's much easier to put it on auto pay and just let it roll. And then your plan, really, once you set your plan, it's done. So
Yeah, I mean, the spending plan is incredibly important, and you know, I know people don't like to be on budgets or whatever.
spending plan.
Right. The thing is just merely tracking what you're spending. Right. You don't necessarily have to spend less. Maybe you do. I don't know. You don't know unless you have unless you write it down. But you know, there's a secret, right, to becoming financially free. Right. This is the biggest secret there is, and if you follow this secret, you will become financially free.
Ooh, what is it?
It's spend less than you make and invest the rest in good investments. If you do that, you will eventually build up enough capital and have enough investments to pay for your lifestyle. And that's true whether you make $30,000 a year or you make $2 million a year. I have people that I talk to that make incredible amounts of money, hundreds of thousands of dollars a year, and they are living paycheck to paycheck. I mean, that's sad.
Yeah, it is. It's very important to know what you're spending your money on. We have ours, and we do track it, and it's very interesting. Sometimes you say, where did all that money go? And you look and you say, oh my goodness, look at what we ate.
Yeah.
Food is one of our favorite things, and so when we look at that, it's an amazing amount of money that you spend in that one area. So we kind of watch to see what that's about. I'm trying to think, and then that's definitely, I think, one of the things I watch us fluctuate quite a bit is food.
Right, yeah, definitely food, yeah. And then, Kevin just goes up, I use mint.com. We haven't seen mint.com. We use what we used to call EBA, but what's it called now? Good Budget.
Good Budget. It's
Right.
that nasty word, budget.
Nice little app on your phone. You go and you can put in everything. You can write your budgets out. Yep. And just make sure you're spending within your plan. It doesn't mean you can't have anything that you want necessarily. Right. It's just that you plan for it.
Right.
Right. So if we want a $50,000 car, we put away a certain amount of money for that car every month because we never finance cars. It's a depreciating asset.
Absolutely.
And we just go ahead and when we have the money, we buy it.
I think that's our next thing too. I think.
Oh, debt. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Debt.
So instead of debt, that's what we do, and then we're going to get into savings because I'll talk about it then. But debt, if applicable. So if you're debt free, congratulations. And if you're not, then you need to focus your energy to eliminate your debt. One of the things, one of the guidelines we use is your mortgage payment should be 25% or less of your monthly net income.
Well, but the bank said I could use 40%.
Well, and is the bank going to pay it for you?
When they take it away.
That's right. But realistically, I mean, I think that's a real safe number. It's a comfortable number. If you ran into an emergency or something, then you have your 6 months of expenses set aside. You should be able to weather a storm. If your mortgage is that low, you don't want to be house poor because then you can't really do much else.
Right. See, another thing with mortgage debt too. I mean, you say that it's a low percentage. Yes, but it is a payment, and it's harder for you to become financially free if you have a payment, because it means you may have to make that much more money in order to actually do it. So it's kind of a dog chasing its tail type of a thing. So while it is, I agree, it's a very low interest rate right now, and especially if you're fixed rate, to have that, and it's on real estate. I can certainly understand, and that probably almost always makes sense from a standpoint where you can make more money with it in other places. However, like I said, you become debt-free that much faster if you don't have the payment. And really, if you're using your house for risk money, that's not a good thing.
Yeah, I mean, I think in terms of rentals, how, if you think about it, if you have a rental and you have to make a mortgage payment and right now it's vacant. So you go let's say you go 1 month, you're not anxious yet. You go 2 months, you go 3 months, no, no tenant. If you have to pay the mortgage on that, I think you're going to be a lot more stressed, and you're going to be a lot more anxious to put somebody in there, and you might not be as careful as you should be before you put a tenant in there. That's one of the things that when we have a vacancy, we are very, very careful about. We do not just jump. We have to be, we're diligent. We have guidelines, and if they don't meet the guidelines, we just can't. I mean, financially speaking, if happens to them and they don't have sufficient rent, we're going to help them have to find another place to live. That's tough. So we try to be real careful about that.
Yeah, I mean, it's really huge, because if you get to the point where you need the money to have that and you put someone in, you can stick a time bomb.
That's right.
You can I love that. You can stick a time bomb in your house if you're not careful.
That's right.
Right, because you lose someone in the house, and then you can't make you say, geez, if I first of all, if you have to kick somebody out, it takes like 6 months.
And
right?
It's not. I mean, that's exactly true. It is not fun, and yeah. I mean, our approach would be, I'm really sorry, but this place, it might be more expensive for you, and let me help you find a less expensive place to live.
Yeah, I mean, we would pay people to leave our house
cash for keys.
Yeah, cash for keys, as they say. Well, most people won't do that, but anything you can do to get them out. But when it comes to bringing someone in, if you're tight on cash, then or if you're right, you put a time bomb in the house, and you will have problems, because then it's going to take 6 months to get that time bomb out.
Just kind of a snowball.
And then you have to do it again, and it gets worse, and you're more desperate. It's kind of like the stock market.
Yeah. So we try to avoid that. So that's why we try to, if we have a rental house or something, we try to pay that debt off as quickly as possible, and then we're not anxious about that. Right,
and we have income from other core sources too, and that's what we'll be talking about. I like a bad trade, yeah. We have income from other sources, so we're not completely dependent on that income either. Right. So we don't get that desperation, and that's very important.
Right. And then again, we talk about automatic payments to put you on autopilot. So again, just making it easier for you and not as difficult.
Right. Getting out of debt.
Sure. Sorry, I went too far. Let me go back. Sorry. Savings. So, right, and savings, again, I like the automatic pilot savings. You can do withdrawals automatically from your accounts to put them in various accounts to help you reach your goals.
Right, and we recommend highly 6 months of cash.
Right.
In other words, you could do nothing for 6 months and pay your expenses without having to touch your investments, without having to worry about anything. It's chances are you'll never need it, but you should definely have it there.
Right.
Excuse me, I'm reading while I'm talking.
Yeah.
So
I'm seeing what Casey's saying. I'm gonna put in some in our resources tab eventually. I'm gonna have some information about kind of what our guidelines are and just how to screen tenants.
We're going to do whole sections on real estate, whole days on real estate, and we'll do some screening stuff and credit check stuff, and maybe
just some guidelines on how to find a good tenant.
And keep them in there, because I mean, real estate's an awesome investment. I'm going
to say gross, David, 15% of gross for your retirement.
Yeah, usually that's what we would recommend for putting in there, and that's once your debts are paid down, of course.
Yeah.
Right. You've got to get your debts down. That's one of the first things you need to do, and of course, your retirement number is going to vary depending on how old you are and how much you already have in retirement and things like that. But I mean, if you say, hey, give me a general number, 15% of my household income for most people, I think would do that. And some people say, well, I can't save that much. And
you'd be surprised.
Well, you'd be surprised, right? I mean, if the government suddenly put a 15% tax on you, you'd find a way to still live without doing that. And it's really something about paying yourself first, right? Before you're going out and buy things. It's really a better treat.
And it's about savings too. If you have an employer and they're going to match contributions, you definitely should match that. I mean, that's like giving yourself a raise. So if they'll match up to 5% in a retirement plan, and you put another 5 in, you just gave yourself a 5% raise. So that's a really, really good thing.
Yeah, the retirement's really, really good. And we're going to talk a little bit about insurance in a second.
I think that's next, right?
Yeah. But then, consider putting your savings on automatic pilot
Yes. Yep. And that way you don't have to think about it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Of course, you always want to review your insurance because you want to protect what you have. Yeah, so you want to carefully review all your policies to ensure you have the proper coverage, and I'd sit down with a qualified agent to do that. If you have a lot of assets, you should probably consider an umbrella policy. And also long-term care insurance. I mean, if you're getting, I mean, you wouldn't consider it if you were 40 or 50, but if you're getting up into your 60s and you have a substantial net worth and you want to transfer that over to your kids or to your wife even, or your husband, if one of you goes into long-term care, that will bankrupt you.
Yeah, it's going to be a real, I think that, you know, as the baby boomers age, I think it could become more and more of an issue.
Yeah, so this is becoming really a real issue. And the way the laws are, I mean, you can't decide last minute to put your money somewhere else because they track your money now, and they'll know you're doing that. And like I said, they will essentially take everything except for your house.
Yeah.
And if that's all you have is your house, your spouse has is your house, and that's a problem.
Right.
So definitely do that. And like I said, I wouldn't consider it if you were young, but certainly
Right.
if you're
as you get older,
definitely. But if you are young, you should definitely have term life insurance.
Right. And that should be at least 10 times your income if you have dependents. So, I mean, that's to replace your income if, you know, if unfortunately you pass. So that way it will support your family and your dependents in the event of your death. So
Right.
hopefully, but, and then also health is becoming less of an issue now because of Obamacare, but also auto insurance.
Well, it's still a big issue because you got to pay for it, but you have to
do,
have it or you get
but you have
fined.
to right. So that's what I'm saying. It's less of an issue because you have to have it.
You don't have a choice.
And you have to pay for it. Let's
Live
see.
free, they say.
Right. I think we have a couple questions about 15% of retirement income. Okay, so where is it fairly safe? Mutual funds, bonds, real estate?
Yeah, and realistically, we're going to be doing whole sections on that,
Yeah.
on where to put stuff. And that's a fantastic question, and it's going to be a little bit different for everybody, but we're going to draw out some guidelines on things like that, and we will definitely be covering that in future topics. I also have a question from David. I guess he emailed me and about, you know, trading stock options versus investing in real estate. And again, that is definitely things we're going to cover because we're going to start talking about multiple income streams where we can, you know, have not depend necessarily on any one thing. And you know, one of the things when you start talking about investment versus trading stock options, or, you know, whatever, you know, if we're doing, you know, even my systems or whatever, doing my systems is not really investing. Right, investing would be like, you know, investing in companies, that type of thing. What I'm doing a little bit more is more active management, right? So it's almost working, even though you know, we don't have to work a whole lot. I mean, it's not like you have to sit there and monitor the thing all darn day, but it certainly is still fairly active. So that's a little bit different than investing. When we talk about investment, we when we talk a little bit more investments, we talk about stuff that's a little bit more hands-off. The retirement guidelines use delta theta ratios. Yeah, let's do that. I'm not sure how to calculate the delta of my portfolio. So, yeah, even real estate, Kevin Chan, right? Even real estate isn't really passive, and that's one of the
True.
right. And that's one of the myths that we kind of go over is, you know, even investing in stocks isn't really all that passive either, unless you're handing it over to a mutual fund type of things, which is fine for a lot of people.
Yeah,
I mean,
which might work for someone who's not interested.
We are going to discuss mutual funds because a lot of people really aren't capable of handling stocks themselves.
Right.
And again, some people aren't capable of handling real estate either.
Right. It just, I think, you know, it's more of
Right.
an individual approach that we're kind of looking at. We're kind of going to be somewhat overall unless you want individual coaching. So it's going to kind of be general, but we'll certainly answer questions as we go. But
Right, right. I mean, and you know, the thing is too is you can invest in real estate without having rental houses.
Yes.
You know, you can,
Yep.
or you can do commercial real
Just depends on what you
estate,
want to focus on.
and you can rent to companies, which is a lot more lax with the laws. You can do real estate investment trusts and in the stock market, right? You can trade them like an ETF. So that's a way to get appreciation in real estate. I mean, you don't get rental income, but you do get a piece of the real estate pie, and you're at least theoretically diversified a little bit, although in 2008 that was not diversified, but you are at least theoretically diversified some.
Yeah. So, right. So, just to quickly sum up, we talking about reviewing your portfolio. So that would include, using your net worth worksheet to review your investments and kind of making sure that it still reflects your goals and your feelings about risk. So, but again, we're going to jump into all these topics more in depth as we go. Estate planning, yeah. So not a real popular, it's not always popular to start planning for your death, but you really need to if you have minor children and you want to make sure that you have a guardian for them. And make sure that they're
Extremely
who you
important.
want instead of who they would end up with.
With the court,
Yeah.
court
So,
stuff. And of course, we want to review all your beneficiaries, retirement accounts, your insurance policies. In other words, you don't want the money going to the state,
right,
or being siphoned off by someone else.
Let someone else decide the way it should be divvied up. You should be able to decide how your wealth should be
and
distributed.
you sit with an accountant, they can help you with tax issues too, depending on what your situation is. So that can be really, really big. So I think we've gone over our half an hour here.
I think we have, but we still have slides, so we're
Okay,
going to talk a little bit longer.
All right.
Okay.
We're moving on.
So we're hoping that also part of this would be a commitment to financial education, because realistically nobody can make decisions for your family better than you can. So in doing so, you need to educate yourself.
Yeah.
So we're hoping that we can be part of that education, and so we will be here, and we're committed to our new business, and we will be helping you through certainly 2015.
Right, and one of the things too is you can go and you can find a financial advisor, and you can buy real estate, and you can own and hire a management company to manage your real estate. But the problem is they don't have your best interest in mind necessarily, nor do they necessarily know what they're doing. So it's critically important that you understand how to manage your money yourself, and how to manage your real estate yourself, and hopefully you'll get into some businesses that we'll talk about, some nice businesses where you can make some money, and you can learn how to manage those yourself. And once you do that, then you have the knowledge available to understand what your financial advisor is telling you, what your property manager is telling you, to make sure that they're doing the right things, because property managers don't fix stuff. A lot of times they're the cause of problems.
And we still manage ours.
We still manage ours ourselves. Yeah, we don't even do that. And I still fix toilets, even though we make a lot of money.
I know. And someday
we'll probably do that, because we'll be traveling and we won't be around. But
right. But for now,
yeah,
it works. And nobody can fix stuff like John. So there you go. He can fix anything. So So we're asking you to join us. So we are going to have weekly webinars. They will be on Thursdays at 7:30. And to sign up for those, that's that AWeber link. And we will, our blog will be weekly.
We're kind of currently building a website, so it's just a page right now, but it's going to get a lot of stuff in there. We're going to be getting resources. We're going to be getting a lot more fancy. But for right now, we just we start talking about businesses. The good thing about nowadays is you can start a business in basically a week.
Yep.
Right, you can put something together and get going on the internet, and for very low cost.
Right.
And there's no excuse for not having multiple streams of income and maybe some business income on doing something that you love to do. Yeah. Like I said, we decided to do this like last Wednesday.
Well, I've been planning it for quite some time, and just procrastinating, like usual people do. And I said, I'm not ready to do. I wanted to launch on the 1st. I wasn't ready, and I said, you know what? We're going to be ready for the 1st. So,
yeah.
And we just decided and did it, and I said it's a perfect day to do it. And
yeah, it helped when because I was like, geez, I can't believe I was thinking back to when I was an auto mechanic making $30,000 a year, and the hours and how hard the work was.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just crazy, and you feel people do this all their lives, and then they have no money to retire on. I just feel really bad for them. I said, we got to do something.
Right.
So we got to do something.
And that's why, and we're passionate about helping other people. So I mean,
Yeah.
we really want to do that. And so the blog, we're planning on having each weekday we'll have a blog posted on the website. And we're going to be doing coaching, so you can email at that address. And if you have questions, as the week goes on and you're not sure, you can just throw us a question at questions@financialfreedomclassroom.com, and we will.
Right, because we love to discuss topics that you'd like to talk about.
Oh yeah.
And as you know, we haven't really been trying to sell you anything tonight, right? So
And we're not going to.
and we're not going to, other than
Because we're going to give you something.
we're going to give you something. There you go.
Yeah, we're asking you to share because you care with your family and friends about them and their financial future too. So our launch offer is that we are offering free coaching for the month of January.
Right.
And
just to be clear, it is not options coaching.
right. It is not options coaching. It is financial freedom coaching.
Right.
And so we're offering that for the month of January. So we're hoping that some of you will take advantage of that. And you can email us to set up an appointment.
Fantastic, yeah, and take advantage of it if you can. So, or if if you'd like to,
Yeah.
sit down and do stuff.
Right. So let's see. So David says, "Oh, excited about this? Thank you." Oh, we are very excited too. Thank you, David.
Thank you for the comments.
Appreciate
Yeah.
that. And let's see. We got a couple other things. Oh, thank you, Thomas. That's nice that this is a great start. Thank you so much. Very excited. We're very, very excited about
And
this.
thank you for your comment, Michael, too. My option training weekly and Options Tribe is great, and I'm the best you've seen. Oh, well, thank you. And awesome, great.
Well, that's honest. Well, thank you. Thank you so much. I really appreciate all your feedback, and we want to thank you for taking the time on this holiday to be with us and be here for our launch.
Happy
So,
New Year.
Happy
and
New Year,
we'll
everybody.
be talking to you next week.
Thank you so much, and hopefully you'll join us next Thursday at 7:30.